Got to clean the paint off. Clean the paint off all this surface here. I've got the bungs out. Pull that plate off. Check out all the different colours it's been. You see the orange, the primer, then it was yellow, then a reddy colour, probably the primer, and then you can see the original orange underneath. Huh? Clean the gasket up. Bit milky. Just about got everything ready to go on, I think. Got the studs in, all cleaned up, all the threads cleaned up. Bit of anti-seize on some of the bolts. Got the digger bolt over here. We'll hook that on. It fits. All the bolts went in, except for one. It's just a bit tight in the hole there, where this one, you can just see where it's touching just there. Put that in the lathe and give it a bit of a machine, and then it'll go in. So I've just set my manifolds on now, mate. And one of the cylinders, we're just trying to work out the hose length. So these ones are going to go into here, and then these ones are going to loop round, so one will be up, and then down and down. So we've got a length now. Next thing to do is probably tack this brace in. I've decided to put a brace in here just to reinforce it a bit more. Probably doesn't really need it, but tack that in there, and then pull it all off, weld it all together properly with MIG, and bolt it on, and then it's all paint prep. Get this thing painted. Use the digger to lift it on with. They work really well as a crane. Got good control. New tracks. Sooty wants to have a look. Curious, aren't they? All right. Bit of test fitting on the hoses. So I've got 1-inch hoses here coming into the manifold, and then out to the cylinders. They're fitting pretty good, except for this one here is probably a tad short. I'm just going to get an extension to go in here. So far so good. Just got to grind the nut off a little bit to get that, let that elbow come through here. Not much. Looking good. Have to grind this off a bit too. The cylinder's not quite coming up as high as it probably should. I don't really want to paint it and then work that out later. So another thing I've done is I've got the little gussets in here now. It's probably not really necessary, but this bottom bit's where it's doing all the pulling. I don't know how strong the back of these bevel blocks is, so it's not going to hurt it, I reckon. So I've just coated it with this metal conditioner. Mix it with a bit of water, brush it on. It's supposed to convert the rust or something. Then I go with this 2-pack primer, hardener, and then after that I'll go with the top coat. As you see, it's all starting to go white. I think it's a zinc phosphate or something. Yeah. I've got to wash that off now, dry it off, then mask it all up and get the primer on. Well, the primer's all on. Mix up the top coat. I'll set up a time lapse. So we're all painted. Comes up well. Very bright. A couple of runs in it though. Anyway. Clean a bit of paint out of these holes probably and then start to assemble it. Got the manifold sitting on there. Well, bottom arms on. Just use the engine crane. Excellent. Next bit on. All going pretty smoothly so far. Got my little bushes down in there, my little washers. Now put these top links in. Well, back on it another day. Just had to give a few more hydraulic fittings. Got to make a few changes. So this hose here originally going to come up straight off this one, but when doing that it's going to hit up here, hit this bar here. So got this 90, put that 90 on there and try and aim the hose down into there. Hopefully it gets away from this bar when we come up. And this hose probably a tad short, so we've put these extensions. And I'll come into there. Should be good. So there we go. Have found one little flaw. Looks like we can get very close down in here. Let me go right down. Now this is just about at the end of its stroke. These are 18-inch stroke cylinders, but I'm only using 10 inches. I've put a spacer inside. I pulled the cylinder apart, put a spacer in there to stop it going down too far. Otherwise it's going to hit the drawbar. So I'm at 10 inches now, so it should be pretty close to stopping, but we'll see when we get the other cylinder in there how close it's going to get. If it's going to touch, I'll give it a grind. Everything's going pretty good. Yeah, push the stopper in. going the wrong way. Yeah. Well, finally getting somewhere with it now. These hoses are taking a bit of work. Just to heat these bends up a bit more. Every time you come up, this bar was hitting on the hose. So we just heated them up a little bit and a bit of a bend. And now it's got clearance. So I'll chuck a bit of paint on these little bends here now. And I think it's come up alright. It's tricky getting the clearance when it's up and when it's down, so the hoses don't touch anything or each other. Got the tines in. It's pretty good. Just got to tidy these pipes up now, put a bit of paint on them. Just a few little things like that. Nearly ready for a test run. So I think we're all done. Even put a little badge on there. Got them hoses heated up. Put some black paint on there. What else did we do? Oh, a bit of grinding on here. It's just coming up and touching that on right down the bottom, so I'll just give that a grind, put a touch up the paint. Only thing left to do now is to try them out. See how they go. So far I'm really happy with how they turned out. That's where the pocket comes through. You see it's welded around here as well. You can also run these tips into, you can flip them over and they've got a different angle on them. Not sure which way I run them yet. If you flip it over, it's pointing up a bit higher. We'll see what it does when we get in the ground. It certainly looks the goods anyway. Let's go and try it out.